computer down? No. I'll go over here. Sorry, everybody. It's only tech. You know, if you... Oh, there we go. We should be. Click here when live for stream. Yeah, okay. Streaming. We are streaming now. Can anyone see us now? We're over on YouTube and we are on Facebook apparently streaming. So if we have any, I'll just say viewing web.
There we are.
Can you? Okay. Oh, wonder if you can hear us. Give a quick sound check because I turned all mine off there. Okay. Well, can somebody type in the chat, please, if you can see and hear us? Because being a part of the two that are being interviewed, we get to see it as if it is. So we're not 100% sure until you tell us. Hang on, I'll type something in there and see if it does go across. Welcome. There we go. So my message is on there. Can you see that? And comments, Kylie.
Comments, nothing yet.
Okay, everyone, if you can see anything, if you can see us and hear us, please comment just to help us along there. We're just going to talk anyway then. What about we do it anyway, Kylie? Divide?
I can hear it, yeah, I can hear it.
You can hear it?
On there,
oh, great.
Comment yet.
All right, no worries. Well,
it'll be coming.
Yeah. So I've got Kylie Bonner on here today. So this is her success talks, and our audience is normally women in business and leaders. And what we're going to talk about today, it seems like it's not relevant. Oh, can you turn that off? The sound, Kylie. I can hear it reverberating on Facebook. I can hear us.
Oh, I don't have the sound on now.
Oh, okay. So it is coming back through. I don't know where it's coming through from. Let me quickly go and shut down Facebook.
I'll make sure mine's shut down.
Okay, yeah, I've shut it down over there. Still hear it. Yeah, so it's coming through somewhere. I'm not sure where. Turn that one off. Don't know. Got an echo though. All right. Not sure. Oh, there it goes. No. Okie dokie. Well, we could just go live straight through to Facebook, but I'm not sure how to do a live straight through to Facebook. So I'm sorry if it is echoing, everyone. I don't know what to do there. Let me have a little look if it says anything here that I can see. It might be. Oh. Ah! It worked! The tech worked, Kylie.
The simplest thing.
You know, I absolutely. I love what it does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lucky. Yeah.
When it goes wrong, though. Yeah. Well, so I'm talking to Kylie today, and we do relate, and I do know. I've been training coaches and leaders for so many years that I do know this is not a one-off that you, Kylie, had thoughts in your head like that at all. I mean, I had that for a lot of my life, and yes, it is so common that I was just looking at some stats online. Oh, echoing again, so not sure. Okay. Yeah, I was looking at some stats. It's absolutely shocking. So, you know, I think as women, it's good for us to talk about it, whether we're in business or not. And it does affect how we are as leaders, doesn't it? Because we're role models. So I'd like to introduce Kylie Bonner. Kylie, would you like to tell us who you are?
Yeah, well, I am... who am I? I'm a military wife. I'm a mum of 3 special needs kids.
Yeah.
I've had my own business across a few different sectors since I was 19 years old, so more than 23 years, I suppose. And I just, I always wanted to be successful, and I was a wedding planner, and then I was a makeup artist, and then I was working in the beauty industry. I did that for 17 years.
Can you lean into your mic a bit, please, Kylie, or something?
Yes, I can.
Mic?
I worked in the beauty industry for 17 years, and I loved it, and I loved what I did with women, and I loved making them look good, and I always knew that I looked good. But it didn't stop me how I was
Yeah.
feeling. There was always a feeling in deep down. So yeah,
It is a feeling, isn't it? It's like, um, it's, well, less than others.
yeah, or not enough. Yeah,
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 not,
yes. I was never as good as anyone else.
yeah. It's so common. And
And I could never say that either. Like I would never have said. I would never have gone into a room of women that I worked with and said, "Geez, today I feel fat and ugly." I might have thought it like, or you might say it just after lunch, or
yeah,
um, like you've eaten too. Oh, I ate too much, and that's something we all say all the time. But I would never have just said I always feel fat and ugly.
no.
Because and it's the thing is that I didn't always feel ugly or I didn't always feel fat, but it was always there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it's,
And I always was conscious of, if I said that, someone else might be in the room and they may be fatter than me, or they may be like, but I would never have thought that they were. Do you know, like such a weird thing, isn't it, about how our brains think? Because I would never have thought, oh, she's really fat. Like that's a
no,
bad thing. Like,
no, it's a perception. So it's all perceptions. And it's a real secret that women have that they don't tell because they,
and I wouldn't have told my husband. I wouldn't have told my kids.
no, no.
God,
And
if I told my husband, he might start to think that. He might notice.
don't put it in his head.
Sleeps in the same bed as me,
Yeah,
but he doesn't notice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's a really deep topic because, one of the things I worked out with the business was women weren't not necessarily not succeeding because it was anything to do with business. It was how they saw themselves overall. So it wasn't just physical, but it was just not believing in themselves and seeing themselves as, when we went really deep, the words were quite severe, like, disgusting and this sort of thing. Oh, well, I'm disgusting. And therefore not feeling like they fit in this world or have a right to even be here. So success in business was all just extra pressure in a lot of ways. Yeah, and even empowered leaders leading the way, still there was a dark secret even in the best of the best. And that's sort of the tragedy, really, is how secretive it is. And your story really has that as something you really have learnt through families. Like my family pattern, I noticed, was certain particular things, very, very much so. And for you, you've noticed too, yours is very family, it's across generations anyway. And a lot of people don't even realise that that's a thing,
Yeah.
you know?
But they all realise, like you'll hear people talking about when they did something and then they yelled at their kids and then their mother slipped out. Like, they heard their mum's voice. And so you hear everyone, I think that's the thing, no one's aware of it, but then everyone's aware of it because they see that happen.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like, we need to bring education to women and girls. From the stats I just looked at, it was absolute, what was it? It was up to 38% of girls they call it NSSI, non-suicidal self-injury, like, to hurt themselves as if they were punishing because of just self-esteem. It's such a really, it's such it's not getting better is my message to women. And I think for leaders and role models, and every mum is a role model, aunties, grandmothers, I think we are all leaders and we're all role models. We're definitely leaders for the next generations, and that's just how it is. And so, yeah, do you know that they even call it, like in school at the moment, it's called skin carving. So that's fun. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's terrible. And what it then leads to bringing the thoughts to the surface and so on, even if they're just doing it to be cool. So anyway, I digress, but, you know, you and I both very much care about the self-esteem of all kids, of everybody. But our girls is something we definitely know in your family in particular. So I had a few questions for you, Kylie.
Yeah, go for it.
So, you know, prior to the shift you have had, because really it is a perception. It's a majority of thought space that you have in a day out of the regurgitated. They say we have 50,000 or so thoughts that just are the same as yesterday. And so, you know, I know you've broken that. So that before that, you know, the self-deprecating daily thoughts like that, how did you see that playing out? Maybe let's go with business and then family. Like, how did you see it playing out as a leader? Because you were a leader.
In business, in business, I won some awards and I was a leader, and I was actually the youngest at the time. I was the youngest in Australia to attain that level.
Mm.
And I think one of like the 5 youngest in the world actually at one point too. But as a leader, and even with that kudos, I never felt like I was good enough.
Yeah.
So even winning awards and achieving something that was phenomenal, really, if I did that in a different industry or a different anything, and I told, if I was in the pharmaceutical industry and I told other people, they would be like, whoa, like this chick's made it.
Absolutely.
But I never felt like I'd made it.
No.
I never felt like I was good enough or one of them. I felt like a fraud. So that was in business, and by that time I had ended up closing down the business because I just couldn't, the mental energy. So by then I had 3 kids. Actually at that point only one of them really was diagnosed with a special need. He had epilepsy after his 4-year-old needles. He started having seizures, and then that was it. So here's my youngest. So he's the only one who actually had a diagnosis. The other 2, Ruby was allergic to a lot of things, and my eldest was quirky and hard work, but there was no real diagnosis other than her allergies and her anaphylaxis. But in business, and then in person, and then I was looking after my grandma I was in Victoria with my husband's work, and I was flying back to Brisbane all the time to look after my grandma having cancer treatment, and she was given 6 months to live and live for 5 years, which is fantastic. But I remember after about 9 months, I'm like, Grandma, you haven't died. I've just got to go and not be a single mum. You haven't died. So off I went, and I made the choice to not be a single mum. But then that meant I was flying backwards and forwards looking after her for 5 years, or 4 more years. So just juggling everything, and then this business, and I had to restart the business because we moved again, and business wasn't like it is now with the internet and things. It was hard work, so I just couldn't do.
Yeah.
Couldn't carry all the plates. All the juggling the balls was just too hard. So I really started to slow that down and wind it back. It was still there, but I didn't do it. So it was affecting everything. Everything was kind of feeding into each other and affecting the next thing. It was a privilege to care for my grandparents, and it was a privilege to have these kids that, they're pretty cool kids. Like
they are.
They're cool kids. So at that time, they're full on. They were kids. But it was a privilege. And so on the one hand, I was grateful, but I was just getting so burnt out. So, and nothing could maintain. And then Dave went away for 13 months. So then I was doing it all on my own, and just too hard.
So I think a lot of women, they want to lead. But you did say a word before, and you said felt like a fraud, and that is just off the charts. Like, I've been training coaches for, it is 3 decades, you know, And
I'm
so,
still 17.
well, and I've had that experience of being in rooms, and I would always have that real close bond, with my executive people around me, right? So we would go deep. We would have really deep and meaningful. So it was like, we were an insider group of leaders that owned our shit and really admitted stuff because we had each other. And, in this world, leading, it's a very lonely place to be leading. And then if you are empowering women through the best you can, you're doing all the things, you're just doing all the things you're meant to do, right? Your affirmations, your gratitude journaling, and the whole works, like learning tools and doing the best and all of that. But it's something though that, I mean, look, you're never just all done. Like, things can trigger you, but straight back to something else. But yeah, like, you can do it all and still be a leader and still see yourself that way until you really go and get that deep, 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 deep inner wisdom. And people think, well, what's that got to do with anything? I can leave that. That's like my own private life. But it's for women. Is there really a difference?
I don't think, yeah, I think that's
Like,
the key. And actually, it was only when I realised that it can't be, as a woman, I can't separate
the
the kids
compartment.
and my work and
Mm,
my husband and my mum and my grandparents and the relationships. It's all of me. So if I try and
right.
separate them out, uh,
Women, they are their business. They're the core of a female business. It's like, it's a core, and then everything comes from that. And
and
you're
it's the
like,
what's that? The concentric circles, like they all the Venn diagram. They all interconnect somehow.
yes, and even then there's layers on top, and the old nature, nurture, epigenetics, and all of the stuff and compartments of life. The truth is, as a woman, it's all of you, and how you are determines a, a lot. How you see yourself, I should say. That's the power of a woman, is absolutely off the charts. You
Mm.
can we think we can compartmentalize, because one of the biggest things that women seek and search in business is balance, meaning
Mm.
business on this scale, life on this scale. But really, there's not really scales
Okay.
and there is no such thing. So when you
No, because
just
I
make
sort of see
yourself
it as it's
strong,
my heart. It's my heart, and it's a jigsaw. Every single piece fits. Because
well,
I don't tend to do anything without putting my heart and soul into it, because I'm a woman. And if I do choose to do that,
yeah,
then I'm giving it a piece of my heart. It's not about putting it in a box in my brain like that.
no,
Like they say, like that.
yeah,
I can picture a guy on a video saying the guy can put it in a box. Well, and my husband can.
yeah. Put it in a
He
box,
can put it in
close
a
it in
box
the
and worry
compartment.
about it later. And I'll only bring that box out when I actually
Mm.
want to bring it out. I'll just pretend it's not even there until it's then. But actually, for a woman, gosh, I wish I had a box. But
Yeah,
not to say that you can't. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like, as
we
a
can
leader, I
make
was
that
always taught,
happen.
put it in the
Mm.
drawer and lock the drawer and walk
Yeah,
away and go and do your work and come back to it. And that's the thing. And that's what we do. But actually doing that is so detrimental to our soul and who we are, because
it's not living
as a
truthfully.
woman, you can't do that.
Can I just quickly just check if anyone's relating, if anyone wants to share? Um, you know, when you share it, when it comes out of you, that's one of the biggest triggers to dealing with it. The problem is pushing it down, girl. So that's the biggest thing. So and look, it's hard being a leader. You can't just go out and say what you want. Like, there's that too. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't just go and then expect everyone that you were leading still absolutely respect you when you say you've got those issues. So I do know the struggle is professional and all of this stuff. But I think as leaders, we've got each other to and that's what needs to happen more, I think. And then when women realize that they are that core central piece, that it's not the same. So if anyone wants to share any thoughts or ask any questions at all at this point, but I will show you in a minute a little video of Kylie pre dealing with her stuff, and
And
just
I do just want to
the
say, Naz, that I just was reading the headline again on that screen. That thought, I think I can remember thinking it at about 8 years old. I don't know exactly how old I was, but I remember thinking it. And then not long after that, I remember my dad saying I was getting chubby. And then not long after that, I think I never saw him again. but but I grew like I was nearly a teenage girl. Like, and it was across the course of a few years. But that thought, I remember very young, very young.
yes,
So
yes,
it's
and
still
it's
from that age
normal for
and
girls to
often
have
how it
that thought.
arose.
It's normal for girls to have that thought. That's what's tragic. And, for whatever reason, and that's the thing too, you know, there are so many reasons, like somebody said it when we were at that imprint age, or the socializing age, the modeling era, or whatever. Or we just have that feeling our whole life and don't know where it started. The thing is as a leader though, one day, or as a woman one day, it's good to not it's good to tackle it and just own it. Is the
And I think,
start. It's the suppression of it, the oppression, self oppression, that
and I
makes it worse.
think what you said before, you had your little inner circle. I think that as leaders, we have to allow other women to go to those spaces. We have to choose
Mm.
to find our own inner circle, because a lot of us work on our own, don't we? Especially since the last few years, we can work like at home and don't
Mm.
see people, but we have to find our own inner circle, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's
Mm.
colleagues, whether it's mentors, whether it's other equals, peers, who we can be raw with.
That's right.
Because if we don't admit to it, we can't
That's the first step.
make it better.
It's just what I want every woman to know is you're not alone if you have these thoughts, and you're never too good. That those thoughts, they don't make you bad, even as a leader. It's just simply, if it's there and it's consuming your thoughts, then yes, it's not healthy for you. And this is, I've got a couple of things I'll mention on that. And the mind body connection, you don't realize how you see yourself can certainly play out in your body as well. And Kylie had something happen there, and we'll share that soon too. So Kylie, though, I know that was the big thing for you, but there was also other things, and there was this really big, you were very angry, and I want to share that and just show it, though. I want to show it, and you have a look too. So I'll just share this, and hopefully it works. Hey, God, I'll just go to this little screen here, and play that for a moment. It's only 11 seconds, I think, what I've got here.
Yeah.
I was walking venom. It affected every single part of my life. Every ounce of my body had anger in it for someone or towards someone.
So, yeah, that was the only bit I got to snip out of that. But well, there's so much good footage of Kylie and her journey. How long ago was that? Just so we know, just how long ago was that?
I think 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Was it 2017?
Mm.
Maybe.
Mm. So it was a pretty big breakthrough. So, do you want to share what happened, like in your bodily experience on that day? Because it shocked all of us. I wasn't expecting that, and I've seen witnessed so much in the body changing when that wisdom, when a person does sort of set themselves free from that. What happened to you?
So I had a beautiful lady working with me. We were outside in that same spot actually, and I don't know if you could hear in that video, you can hear a little water fountain or something trickling, and there was a few birds, but
I have good audio, darling. Mics.
oh, can you hear me?
No, I said I had good mics.
Oh.
Wow.
Right.
I always had good mics, darling.
Oh, so, well, but I actually I wasn't aware of it. And then halfway through, I just started hearing people talking in other rooms. They were doing the same thing, but they were at different points, and I could hear people from across. That it was next to a golf course. I could hear the golf cart on the grass, crushing the grass. I could hear a car, like a truck beeping, the reversing beeps, all of a sudden, and I just couldn't concentrate. And I had this moment that I had to, I was kind of startled that I could not hear anything because I could hear everything. And so I'd gone from the week before, I'd just finished a level 2 sign language, learning to speak Auslan course, because I'd learnt to lip read. I could lip read because I couldn't hear anything. I just couldn't hear things. And honestly,
you unblocked your hearing. Your ears just immediately unblocked in that moment. It was beautiful.
And I think it was because I just didn't want to hear anyone. No, I didn't want to hear anyone possibly tell me that I was fat and ugly. I honestly believe that that's how it sort of evolved. And I couldn't not ever, I can't even explain that. If I went to a doctor and told them, they'd be like,
no, I know, that's the problem. We think so much here that it's just ridiculous. We even had a woman have a ORGASM who had that as a problem in mid-session, actually. So, yeah, the body and the mind is just, I think it's just such an underrated, thing, that the power of the mind and the power of perception, and if it's aimed at yourself, it's really volatile. And it's something that we've got to change.
Yeah. I went to that retreat. I was exhausted. I didn't know at the time, but I think I was heading towards suicide. I mean, at the time I had thought that my kids would be better off without me, but at the time I definitely wasn't thinking that I was going to nick myself off a go.
But that's how bad it was.
But I really, but no one would have known that.
No.
None of my friends.
No.
And I had been to the doctor. I had asked for help. I had said I need some drugs. And I was very lucky. I had a doctor who said no. And she said, I've got through so far. I'll be all right. And she, we had a bit of a plan, and then this was part of the plan. So it's phenomenal that, and she's the only person who probably ever believed that I got my hearing back and stuff. She's a very good doctor.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I was imagine Erna when she went back and told them her frozen shoulder wasn't frozen, she had to cancel her operation. So, yeah. It's amazing, the mind-body connection. So I wanted to talk to you about, because people, I think there's no hope. I think that there's too much hopelessness.
Hopeless, yeah.
And loneliness.
Lonely. So we're also isolated. Even if you've got people around you, you can still feel lonely, though, right?
Yeah.
My thing.
Yes.
I had lots of people around. I had lots of friends. I'm very outgoing. Didn't make a difference. I was so deeply lonely.
Yeah. And I think it's because of that fraud factor too. So these women, all they want to do is help other women, and they want to help this whole issue. But until the day they admit they have it too, it's not going to get better. And I'm actually going to hold something on Saturday. I'm going to invite anyone who's watching or sees this as a recording, if they want to meet me on Saturday, and talk about it just on Zoom. I only just thought of it just before, and I thought of it because it is that. There's nowhere to go. There's just no one knows where to go as a leader when you've got, you just want to go, this is how I'm really feeling, and then see what you can do about it. And I think we, as mindset, like we were right into mindset, right? We're right into mindset, but you have to heal your heart first as a woman in if you want mindset to sustain.
Yeah. Oh,
Mm,
I did all mindset work. Like I was the guru. I could repeat
mm,
any quote from some great guru. Um, and I had my own little
mm.
things and affirmations. But the affirmations, like I did the affirmations, and even that, like, because I didn't feel like the affirmations, I felt like a fraud. Well, this isn't working. Why am
Yeah,
I doing this? I've done this for 57 days. They said it only takes 20 days to change a habit. Or
yeah,
whatever. Like, it's
I
just
know. I know.
keeps going.
Like addictions and everything like that. It's like, nah, you got to go see. The seventh week, everyone gives up. Like you got to have something better. Um, so yeah,
Indeed.
I think what's good to share with women that we know that worked with you and everything is gaining wisdom, but not from other people.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
had a lot
self
of
that's
beautiful
thinking
mentors.
it, even if it's other people's voices. It's the self that's thinking it and feeling, that. So by changing that, people don't realize that changes. Then the problem isn't a problem,
Mm.
and so yes, it's interesting, isn't it? So it turns out what closes it all down is there's nowhere to go to get that learning. And it's not like an affirmation, it is realizing, like a wake up call moment. So we
It's a
had,
realization.
with
And
you,
if
that's
I
just,
don't trust, uh, if I don't trust that, it's actually really interesting because if I come up with that, I can't not trust it. And but if I didn't trust it, there's a reason for it. Like, for me now, I know that I need to dig deeper or go different, or what's
we have to go
behind
to
it.
the root, darling, and we know
Yeah.
that this is design, the design does it for you by
Mm.
suspending all your filters and you not being in the story, because otherwise you can't realize it at that root, whatever that root is. And we know in your case, it was very deep, like deep, deep into the bones of genetics
Mm.
in your family. And so a lot of women wait, a lot of women think they have to, uh, forgive a person who said it when they were 10 or something like that. And they don't realize that that was all just destiny anyway, because of the vibration of epigenetics and what we are going to go through, because we've sort of got the predispositions very deeply in the memory of the bones. It's and epigenetics, but it's working at that level though.
I
Um,
think it's the best thing about working at that level because it heals those relationships in the process. Like
mm,
I never had to go back to anybody that I have had an issue with and say, "Hey,
yeah.
I need to resolve this
No,
now."
forgiveness is not.
Um,
I know there's a big argument. You got to forgive. You got to forgive. You got to forgive. But what if they're not a problem anymore to you? Why would you have to
yeah,
forgive? So that's what people don't
yeah,
realize. It's not. It's not forgiveness. I mean, if those people are still in your life and you choose that, well, that might be different. But not really. I mean, if they do all of that again anyway, why would you forgive them? Like it's not. And they say, there's all these sayings in personal development, like, oh, forgiveness is just about you, but it's not really by the definition of the word. So it's like, we'll just make it sound all of this, but I still have to do it. Whereas
mm,
it's a shock probably that it's way simpler than that. You don't have to
yeah.
do any of that stuff.
I don't have to do it. And actually, if I walked into a room, like I may not like that person because of who they are, and that's their
Yeah.
choice. But if I walked into that room, I wouldn't have an emotional response reaction, a physical response reaction because of the emotions anymore. And
Yeah.
I think that's where I understand where.
Oh, hang on, everyone. I'll get her back. Hang on, video source. Hang on. Oh, she's gone. No doubt she'll come back soon. I don't know if she realizes. Okay, Kylie. Oh, here she is, joining again. Let me go. Hang on. Add to the right. Oh. Hang on, Kylie. Got your back. There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Don't know what happened there, but yeah, got your back.
I've got you on a different screen though now, Maz, just so you know.
It should be right now though. You are showing up. Can anyone just let us know?
And I've got
Maria, can you let us know, darling, please, in the comments, if you can see Kylie again? I do. Yeah, I know it might have picked up a different camera or something like that, but it's got you in there from what I can see. So until they respond.
It is echoing, Maz.
What's that?
It's echoing a lot now.
Yeah. Do I need to check on that thing again? I tell you, it's pretty fancy software, this that I've got, but it's yes, I can hear. Okay, you're back. You're back. I can see you.
Here I am.
All right. So the metaphors, like I didn't get a chance to do all the snipping I would have liked to do to show everybody Kylie tonight. But I was watching you, Kylie, as you got some of the wisdom. You know, it's really like when you know how to suspend somebody's faculties, like a natural wake-up call that people have every day out there in this world, right, where they just kind of, you know, just sort of snap out of everything. There's certain elements within that happen. And one of them is all the beliefs, it's like nothing's come back into their body in that shock moment. So shock moments can cause trauma and a jumping out of your body and all that stuff, but they can also cause an awakening. And that's what, you know, the on-purpose wake-up call elements are all in place first. And then your mind, this is what people don't know. They're like, oh, it's going to be, I'm going to have to know a lot of things. But actually, your mind presents the deep unconscious, just brings up a metaphor, which is something that you won't relate to, so you will be safe. But at the same time, because you're not even in it or any of that stuff, whatever that image is really interesting, what they are sometimes. And they can be all manner of things, like from puppies to rocks to mountains was one of mine just recently. Mountain, and sometimes they're just women or girls or boys or men and ancient times and things like that. So yeah, it was fun watching yours, and I'm like, oh my gosh, sometimes it's not rocket science, it's stuff you've actually read in books before, or you knew you should believe, but it wasn't truth, was it?
Yeah. My most powerful that I think I've ever had, even still now, like I've heard some and I think, oh yeah, that's really powerful. But the most powerful one for me was a set of twins. And normally, you know, we're looking for one, aren't we? And I remember I was so blessed with someone who was so good because they just went with it and they just knew just go with that. Like, that's a bit strange.
It's the mind, the only thing that can choose it anyway is your deep unconscious mind that actually knows where you come from.
This set of twins had to, like, they were little babies, one had the rattle, the other one wanted it, they had to share. And that was the whole metaphor for whatever that problem was. I can't even remember the problem.
And it
fits,
but
I see it in my life. I'll be dealing with the kids and I'll be like, you have to share. Like, that's about 5 years ago.
Crazy. Yeah, but it shuts down a lot of programs because it emotionally developed you out of it, but it didn't take the space. It didn't just let the hole be there of where it was. Like a lot of emotion dissolving methods, they just don't realize what they're doing because they're taking something out and there's no replacement that's solid within the body, causing wholeness. So that wisdom, whatever the wisdom that comes from the metaphor, we all got all this value on academia. And yet this is the most ancient way to learn, and how elders would have taught was through metaphor that doesn't say the thing exactly, but just it causes you to get all you need. It doesn't necessarily replace it. It fully heals it as if it didn't happen by giving whatever, but that gets all of that um, wisdom that was missed at where it would have started.
The wisdom.
It's a wisdom gaining. Yeah. That's important. And that if we don't get wiser from it, it's going to keep happening, and that's a cycle. So before, if I could just ask you to share, because, I know myself, like if you're a woman and you're watching this and you find that, but my stuff's so resistant, well, it can be so strong in families that it's kind of happening anyway. So, lost her again. Yeah, so epigenetics is what I wanted to talk about there, because Kylie's daughter has, and, it was up in the lines as well. And she didn't realise that it wasn't just her. So, yeah, you're back. So it was, so because we can't kind of just heal our DNA before we're born, and if we would have, yeah, we all would be not want to pass a single thing on, and that's, and we're all, however young we were as mums as well, we'd all do the best we can, and we all just, but there's no way a single, mother really wishes that on her children or anything like that, but it does play out, doesn't it? And I know my certain patterns of 4 generations visual, that did happen, and there were situations you would never think would happen 2 generations in a row, let alone 4. But just with you, did you just want to just speak just briefly there to just share, how you know that it's family deep?
So I guess I lived with my grandparents growing up, and my mum, and I always kind of remember my grandparents. My grandma was she was a bit depressy, but she was fine, but she was very teary all the time, and
but like
anything. And
yes, and you watch it now, and it's hard to see the connection at the time with your daughter and everything, but
so my grandma was a bit sad. My mum was domestic violence, and there was a lot of trauma there. I was in that same family, so had that. And then my daughter, I thought I had been healed and done all the self-work before it would be really impacting, but of course it really wasn't. And in the last few years, her self-esteem and life changed, and changed for all of us, because she developed an eating disorder. It was just one got stronger.
The generations
got stronger. So here, since I had my session, I've never felt that again ever. Even though I've been heavier and I've been lighter, I've not had those same feelings and the thoughts that went with the feelings. And of course, the self-talk and the talk around the home is totally different. However, my daughter and an eating disorder, and we spent a year at the hospital. Parts of that year were every day, some parts were for weeks at inpatient and with the medical professionals. And I was teaching them stuff about how our brains work, which is how this is not going to treat their process, is not going to help them, and because of the way that this is intrinsically for females a problem. And it was just a wisdom that I understand this, and I have seen this, and I have lived this, and I could see it playing out in my child. And they could never discredit me. They could never, like, even though I didn't have the source notes and the letters after my name, the metaphors that I would tell them to make them realise what I was talking about, they then realise that I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. Start to fathom.
But yeah, so yeah, so Ruby had her own process. Uh, and since then, she has not been the same. She's not been in the turmoil. She has still had times that she's not well, but she hasn't self-harmed since the very first
That's the
session.
cycle that we were able to break, was the self-harming. And not only that, I mean, it got hairy there for a moment to think, well, yeah. So, and this is the thing. It's not, I look at my granddaughters and I just hope, and I just see what they go through just walking through a shopping centre with them, and they say, oh, that girl's looking at me, and they feel things, and it's really just sad, really, that it's all fucking waste, isn't it? Like, it's such a waste. It's just sad that it's just such a waste of what they could be thinking about, having fun, being kids, and living the way we want them to live. But there is so much that empowering girls could make a big difference to the planet, couldn't it? I mean, if it wasn't there.
And she is the most empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
We have found out that she's on the autism spectrum as well, so there's a whole different barrage of things. But even that, like, if you think about how eating disorders have been treated for generations, because they have been around for a lot, and if you look at statistics of that, there's a lot, it's higher in Italians and it's higher in Jewish communities, and during COVID it tripled in prevalence within Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Just because people didn't have their normal coping things. They were shut away and on their own, and everything was there, but everything was online. But then also there's good and bad to both. So 24/7 they had that little voice.
Camera source, so I don't know what's going on, guys. Yeah, no doubt she'll come back in a second. So I don't know whose internet it is. I've got full bars, I'm not sure. Yeah, so with Ruby, it got to a point where Kylie wasn't sure what she would do, and then took action. And I think that's a really important thing to do. If I could just say to every woman, and I know that Kylie would say the same thing, keep your eye out and don't ignore them. Don't let them grow up like we did, where it's a dark secret what you think about yourself. And let them know. I think the big thing is they think it's, but it's a thing about being bad or wrong. That I'm bad or I'm wrong. But there's that freedom when you know that's not the truth is worth getting, because keeping it is so terrible. And passing it on, I would really love to break the cycle of that. And it's not easy to own it as leaders.
And Maz, I don't know if we can talk a little bit even deeper than that. Is there any topics we can't cover?
Oh, look, I don't know about Facebook. Who knows? I don't know.
Like, I just think I'm just really aware now. Like, I'm such a different mum because of Ruby and her journey, and as a mum of 3 teenagers, so I had one older and one younger.
Yeah.
We, my husband and I, parent so differently now to what we would have even.
Yeah.
Through I've been broken through for a lot longer than she's been sick, but even because I was not emotional, her treatment was very effective. I mean, it didn't mean that I didn't get emotional. There's a lot of crap. Like, people can die from this. Like, it's the highest killer in mental health. So, so it's not that it wasn't, but I was able to be really. It's not about me. I wasn't feeling fat and ugly. It's not my fault. It's not all these things. But since then, we've had dinners with friends and things like that, and then people say, "Oh, you're really what's the word when you're like really forward parents? Like you're modern, but it's not modern, but it's like progressive, like kind of thing."
Is it not holding anything in?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And that's what I sit there and I just think, I'm not going to stop my children. Like, I want to have a relationship with my children. I don't want them to be hiding. Like, my mum was a teenage pregnancy mum.
Mm.
If the kids are going to do stuff like that, they're going to do it. So I don't want it to be
Mm.
taboo. And I sat there at this dinner, and this gentleman said about his two daughters, not much older than mine. Oh, that one's with her boyfriend, but she's much older. But the other one, who was the same age as my son, he commented that, oh, but she'd still be a virgin, and like, it's very archaic. And these people are our friends, and it's a different set of standards, and life is different. But it was such a moment that I sat there and I was able to say, but why was it okay for you and your son, and it's not okay for your daughter?
Mm.
And it's a level of measurement, and it can't be fun. Because actually, if we taught them that it wasn't shameful,
I know.
it wasn't, there's still people that talk about, masturbation, things like that, that is shame. It's not. It can't be, and it can't be for women, because the more we do that,
That's right.
even now, to our children, the more it's going to sink into our grandchildren. Because these kids haven't had kids yet, but they're going to.
It is a tragedy, isn't it?
Still going through.
It's that we all grew up that it's enjoyable for the boy, but the girl just has to give it up, as if it's a sacrifice. And yeah, there's no value on it being enjoyable, seeing as you're going to do it anyway. So it's I know what you're saying there, and I'm sure people watching do. Tanya said conscious parenting might be what you're looking. Yeah.
So I think it's so valuable in different aspects, because it takes away our, like, even if I don't agree or disagree, like, I don't have to have an argument about it. Once upon a time, I probably would have been feisty and gone.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're a wiser woman from your wisdom. You do realise, like, it's got to rub off on the kids, and it does. So the thing is that, epigenetics is a real thing, folks, right? Go and look it up if you want to, but it's the science of inherited patternings. But what, through my research on women and everything like that, it's a predisposition that you're going to experience certain things in life that you wouldn't even think have anything to do, like, what, but it does explain why cancers, for example, if you've got breast cancer gene or this particular gene, that it only happens in a 10-year window of your entire life. Well, how come? And then how come a twin who moves away from the entire value structure of the entire family and has a different sort of life and rebels against a lot of it, that they can miraculously, with the exact same genes, not activate that cancer in them? So it's sort of a study of that. And then how that, it's, if you go deeper though, you look, I know Kylie's gone, everyone, but she'll be back in a sec, that it's a predisposition that life events will happen. Like, what? Yeah, people don't realise, haven't thought of that, really. And they're not even studying that in science. Something came out that said, I sign up to all kinds of science things, but it was, what you get from your father is way more than you think. And I'm like, yeah, well, you developed as a full egg while you were inside the fetus of your mother. For 4 to 5 months, you lived in the juices, if you will, of your grandmother. So it's like, yeah, but no one's even considering it. It's fascinating to me, the influence of a woman, the power of a woman transformed in this decade, in this generation, the power she has if she just realised it and broke that cycle, that in so my dream is 2 generations we breed out less than, and there being a problem with that in the women, and how that will ripple out and create more harmonious everything. It might be a bit more fun world if sex is actually fun, and our children. So what I was actually going to say before was, you did positively affect you changed by you changing, and that when you did, the trajectory of, they're stashing pills, and that is something that is to me, super high risk that you want to be careful of. So that, um, the way you manage to change the people you lead and are a role model to, even if they're having that bad generational experience, by you doing that, you've given her a role model to watch all this time now, and to step, even though she's got that, she's she's not, certainly not at any of that risk like she was, or any of that stuff. And she, although it was very young when it started with her, and so that's a developing sort of brain, so she still has a life where it's going to probably affect her, to a chunk, and have this eating, this thing where food and controlling and harming self, and but by addressing the hate of self, the loathing that you have to even harm it, like that is self-harming. That helping that is a major thing, and to change her perception is truly a good thing, and you're the mum, you're the role model, probably running the pillar of the family, not just, I know, I think the female is, she underestimates herself, but as a leader, I think that it makes you a better role model, because you've been truthful to yourself, and then that's not held.
And you can have people come to you without it feeling like criticism and condemnation, and that you're to blame and things like that, which is what all the other parents that
yes,
they were either disassociating, or they were in this, it's my fault,
guilt, shame.
And the thing is it's a very physical process, even as a parent. Like, even last year, at times we have to sleep in the same room as her, because she's nearly an adult. Like, you don't ever think that once they grow up, that toddlerhood, and then they become kids, and then they start sleeping through the night. When that finally happens, you don't ever think you're going to have to sleep in the same room to keep them safe and alive. I had to stop her exercising, and she would exercise in the night. So we had to take turns in sleeping in the room. So
it's a very big.
It's a physical taxing,
even
as the carer. And if I didn't have this to cope, I don't know that I would have. Like, I don't know how I would have.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I don't have to think about that, because I had all the facilities, and I had, even when I was so tired, I knew that I would get through this, and I had this really innate, everything was innate. I just knew it was going to be okay. Whatever happened, even if the worst happened, it was going to be okay. We'd get through it. Somehow, something would happen, we'd get through it.
That's right. That's
right within me, at my core.
I think that's the main thing is life happens, shit happens, and you don't just heal yourself and suddenly it's fairies and stars, and it's like a lot of people think that, oh, well, if I change my energy, then everything will always be blissful. It's not really true. Shit happens all around you. I mean, there's some beautiful people that have severe tragedy things happen out of the blue and things like that too. But life just happens. But the thing is it's not going to take you down now. And I think we need girls not to be that desperate that, oh my gosh, it's so sad to watch, It's just, I just can't stand it, because I grew up just hating myself. And I totally believed I was a chewing gum under people's shoes. I wasn't just less than, I was not worthy of existence. And I think it's just too common. And those of us who have had that experience for so long, you know you don't want it for others. And I think that we don't want it for others. And that's why we do our work. So can you just quickly share what drives you, Kylie, now? Like, what drives you?
I just have this passion within me that I need other women to understand that they are at the centre of their ripple effect, and they can only change themselves. You can't change your husband, you can't change your children, you can't change it if they've got autism or whatever else. But if we can understand how we are and then understand why we are, which is absolutely incredibly amazing. Like if we are...
That's right. The amazingness of what we are.
So if people can understand that and then understand that they have the effect that they can change that, then the world's a different place. It's time. It's time for women to understand that.
That's right. And celebrate their design. I think the design is just shocks people. They don't realise we're different. You know, so anyone watching this, I will say, go and watch a video on YouTube by a man called Mark Gungor. I just watch you only need to watch the 7-minute one to really understand that. You know, they've always known we're different in comedy clubs. You're allowed to say it there. You're allowed to really say it there. But you're not allowed to say it in psychology or in business or even in public at all. You're not allowed to be a female who's differently designed and therefore may require different types of therapies or solutions that are designed for the female. Like, as if it's a shock. But it's not if you stop and you think about it. It's what's missing, isn't it?
And I think it's so quick. Like, I think that's the thing. We just don't understand.
It's not a pain thing to...
As a leader, I need things to be quick. I don't have time to mess around waiting for the solution to come or waiting for me to get...
Or thinking through it or feeling through it. It's got to be painful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know how many years I went to psychologists and cried every session. Sometimes I'd walk out feeling worse than when I went in. And then I'd end up getting jack of it and just not wanting to be there. Like,
you're being reminded.
Not going. Yeah. So, it doesn't have to be that. It's, I think, the biggest thing. It's the biggest thing. Like,
I worked on a girl who, you know, what she went through in abuse that was unforgivable. But when she was healed from it, she didn't have an issue. But the psychologist still told her, oh, no, you're going to need help. She's fine. She's moved on. She said, kid, she's actually not unaffected by it. Everyone else has the problem and keeps telling her what she needs. And she's like, and they keep trying to make her too. And over the years, and she's like, just fuck off, leave me alone. Like, you're the one with the problems. To the point she moved town to get away from everyone telling her, oh, she's so messed up from that. That's no way she'd be able to heal from that. But, yes, they can move on and have a life and be happy. And, you know, Ruby's graduated now and she's, making big life choices, and it's like big, but, you know, teens and the stuff. So, yeah, I think the message is it's worth it, girls. It's worth it, ladies. So, what I'm going to do is when I put this video up on our channels, which we're just building them out now, we're just going to talk a lot woman to woman, soul to soul about things, especially leaders and our influence and how we can change the world and so on. Kylie's link will be to her Facebook page, will be in there. So that's probably within 2 weeks that'll be up. So you can go and check out Kylie's page because she helps women, you know, going through stuff, personal stuff. If you're in business and a leader and you want to shatter the shit out of your blocks and all of that, which does obviously include the other, then that's something. Look me up there, uninstitutedwomen.com. But I just thought Saturday it might be nice. I just like this. It got to me. I was on this website, this government website, you know, on this cutting trend of girls and everything, and I thought I just want to offer an olive branch out to any leaders, women in business, who, even if you don't say it on the day, but I just want to give you a little room space with me. You could if you wanted to. So on Saturday, Sunday, 6 p.m. I'll just drop a Zoom link in here in this thread, in these comments. Just it's hers.media /maz-talk, but I will put it in here in a moment, and so that if you wanted to just join just for a little chat and you know, let it out, or just, I don't know, listen to others, or just meet other women who might also be lonely and just need that bit of support as a leader to feel, you know, just don't feel hopeless and don't beat yourself up. There's nothing wrong with you. And a lot of the programs do, that's what you're left feeling, that it's you that's the problem. But what if it's not? What if it's not? What if it's just not? Stuff's not been designed for you. All right. Thank you, Kylie.
No worries.
Kylie's in Thailand. In Thailand.
Yeah. Not much longer.
Living the life over there now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Kylie, and thank you anyone who's watching, and get on the recording later. Okay. So we'll catch you all later. Got any questions? Put them in or contact us.